Hey guys, going to do a overview of the Glock Model 36. I call these overviews because I don't feel I have enough personal experience with guns in general to call it a full review. I just feel I lack some personal experience with different guns to really compare it and contrast. So, like I said, I'm just calling this an overview, which is kind of a quick look at the gun. I'll give you some specs on it, some physical sizes. You can kind of see it in my hand to get a better size reference. I'll talk about a couple different things. I thought I did an overview on my Glock 17, but looking back at my videos, I found that I didn't. So this is the first time I'm showing a Glock like this and doing an overview. So I'm going to talk about Glock in general, as well as talking about this specific model, the 36. So first thing I want to do is give you some specs, some details on size. Now this may be boring, so you may want to skip ahead, 30 seconds or so. But let me just give those to you real quick for those who care. The total length on this gun, which is from the very base or back of the slide to the tip of the barrel, is 6.77 inches. The gun itself is 4.76 inches tall, and it's 1.13 inches wide. Okay, which is actually pretty slim for a Glock. I'll talk a little bit more about that later in the video. But the barrel itself is 3.7 inches long, and the full weight on this is just under 27 ounces. That's the gun, the magazine, and filled with ammo. Right now this gun is empty for demonstration purposes. Nothing in the magazine, and I'll show you there's nothing in the chamber. I can see there's nothing there. I can feel there's nothing there. It's completely empty for this video. So there are the specs. Also, all Glocks have a standard 5.5 pound trigger pull. If you don't know what that is, when you pull the trigger, you have 5.5 pounds of resistance. It's pounds, I guess, per square inch until it fires. That's standard. This specific gun, the only modification to this entire gun is there's a 3.5 pound trigger disconnect in there, so it's a little bit of a lighter trigger. But this gun stock would have a 5.5 pound trigger pull, like any other Glock. Besides that trigger disconnect, this gun is completely stock. You can see here stock sights, which are very adequate, and there's nothing really to it. A lot of people like putting aftermarket sights on there, like the trinium sights from various different brands and companies. They give you a lot better, I would say, visibility at night for sure, because they glow. Obviously, trinium will glow for about 10 years strong. And you do pay for it. I mean, they're about 80 bucks or so if you want to put them on. But in general, Glocks there's so many different accessories you can get for Glocks. This Model 36 is a subcompact. The subcompact is the smallest version of the Glocks. Technically, the 36 is a slim frame subcompact. In other words, the subcompact for 45 ACP, which is what this is chambered in, is actually the Model 30. But the Model 30 is bigger than this one. This is literally the smallest Glock chambered in 45 ACP. And because this is kind of unique, this is the only model in 45 ACP that has a single stack magazine. Glocks are pretty much known for their double stack magazines. And I'll show you that I have a Glock 17 magazine here. And you can see they're higher capacity. This one happens to be 17 rounds. Plus I have a +2 base plate on here. So it's a higher capacity double stacked magazine. Double stacked just means that the rounds stagger inside, so you can fit a lot more. But they make for a wider magazine, as you can see here. And they definitely make for a chunkier handle. And here's my Glock 17. I just took the magazine out. I'll show you there's nothing in there as well. So let me show you side by side the handles here, because you'll see that the Glock 36 on the right here has a slimmer handle. I mean, it may look minute in the video here, but when you feel it in hand, there's a big difference. Some complaints people have about Glocks is that they're too fat. Because they do have that double stack magazine, especially people with smaller hands, they can't get a real comfortable feel on it, or a good grip. I don't have a problem with it. I don't have huge hands. I happen to think they're pretty comfortable. But even though those are very comfortable, I have even a better grip on the Glock 36 because it is slimmer. So this is a slim frame 45 in subcompact. It's actually smaller in every dimension, I believe, than the Model 30. Disadvantages here is that the Model 36, again, only takes those single stack magazines. Kind of an allure with Glocks in general is that if you have, for example, let's talk about the Glock 26. The Glock 26 is a subcompact version of the Glock 17. Now, in the 26, you can use Glock 19 magazines, which are longer, but also in 9mm, and you can use the Glock 17 magazines as well. So they're interchangeable. As long as your gun is smaller than a bigger version of it, you can use those bigger versions magazines, if that makes any sense. Because they're all double stacked and they all, function the same way in those guns. The downside to having the Glock 36 is that the only magazines you can use in this gun is Glock 36 magazines. So you're limited in that sense. You can't get a high capacity magazine. You can't go, 20, 30 rounds or whatever with this. You're stuck with 6 rounds. So that is one downside to this gun. But besides that, I think everything else is, good things. And I'll go over those as, as the video progresses. But while I have the Glock 17 out here, let me also show you the difference. The subcompact models from Glock actually have a tapered slide in the front. By tapered, I mean it's rounded. You can see that compared to the full-size Glock 17 is very squarish, squared off, and a lot of people don't like Glocks because they think they're ugly, and they are the the baby only a mother can adore, or what's that saying goes? Or I guess the saying is a face only a mother can love. It's kind of that's kind of the idea behind the Glocks. I mean, some people just can't get past that they look ugly. I don't think they look that bad. The reason I like Glocks is because of their track record. They just work. They eat up all different kinds of ammunition, and they keep on going. You don't even need to clean them. You can shoot, thousands of rounds through them, as is, and they just keep working. They're kind of like the AK-47 of the pistol world. And they're lighter weight guns because they have polymer frames. They're lighter weight than a lot of their different competitors. So a lot of people like Glocks for those various reasons. But some of the reasons people don't like Glocks, maybe they think they're ugly. Some people don't like the grip angles on them. They don't like how that's angled back a little bit. They like more of a straight handle or a 1911 style handle. Some people don't like the fact that Glocks have no external safeties. And what I mean, technically they have one external safety, which is the safe action trigger. That's a safety you manipulate. But they don't. What I mean by external really is that they don't have anything that locks the slide. A lot of people are used to semi-automatic guns that have a lever or something, such as 1911, that keeps the slide from moving. Okay, they like that or prefer that kind of safety. So a lot of people like the Glocks because they don't have it. They're easier to use. They're pretty simplistic. There's nothing to forget to do. I mean, you pull the trigger and they fire. But some people don't like it for that reason. So it's all preference. At the end of the day, you get what you like, and it makes you happy. But anyway, Glock 36, like I said, it's very slim. And remember here, this is chambered in 45 ACP. The 45 round is a pretty massive round. It's a large round. It's preferred by a lot of people for self-defense just because it has amazing knockdown power. I mean, the thing is it's a big bullet. And let me show you right now. Here's a Hornady 45 230 grain hollow point, or jacketed hollow point. And let me compare that to a 9mm. See the difference here. I mean, the 9mm is nothing to joke around about. This is a major, serious round. And, it kind of makes that sound bad because smaller rounds such as 380s and, 25 auto and 22s, people see them as insignificant. Sorry, I'm stuttering on my words here. But, yeah, they see those rounds as being, not worth the time or effort to even carry. I hear a lot of people say, you're going to carry a 22 for self-defense, you might as well have nothing. Well, you know what? I don't believe in that. I believe that if you have a good aim and you put that bullet where it needs to go, it doesn't matter how big it is. It's going to get the job done. The difference here is when you're talking about self-defense, there's a lot of stress involved. You don't have a lot of time to shoot someone. I mean, it's a quick, fast, dirty thing. And a lot of times you don't have extremely accurate shots. You have to put a couple rounds through someone in order to hit something important. And when you have a smaller bullet, generally it's going to take either more rounds or better round placement to get the job done. When you have a larger bullet like a 45, it's more forgiving, I should say. Let's say if you get even close to anything vital, the massive amounts of energy this is going to dump into the body is going to rupture whatever is nearby, basically. So people do prefer larger rounds because they're easier to work with, if that makes any sense. But I still think that, you know what, if you're carrying a 22 gun, it's just as dangerous as, 44 Magnum or, 50 caliber pistol or anything, ridiculous in size. A bullet's a bullet. And like I said, if you put it in the right spot, it will get the job done. But for peace of mind, carrying a big old fat bullet like this definitely, like I said, it just eases your mind a little bit. It's a little bit more forgiving. So there it is compared to a 9mm. The 9mm is still kind of a large round. It looks puny next to the 45, but that's just the 45's business. It's a big old round. So there you have it, little comparison between the rounds. This is a 6-shot magazine. It holds 6 rounds. Some people might not like that all much. I mean, some people have a certain level of rounds. In other words, I know there's people who carry, people I've even talked to that say they won't even carry a gun if it holds less than 10 rounds. They want a lot more rounds in case they miss or in case, they get some kind of shootout situation. It really comes down to preference, and if 6 rounds isn't enough, I just say carry another magazine. And when I do carry this gun, I do happen to carry a spare magazine, so I have 12 rounds on me. And I do practice doing magazine changes in case I ever got into a situation where maybe I'm hiding behind something and there's kind of a shootout. It's not just a quick situation. Now it's kind of a prolonged thing, and I'm going to need more ammunition. Well, I do carry more ammunition. So that might be an issue for some people. 6 rounds isn't a whole lot, but keep in mind, a smaller gun like this, and especially a much larger bullet, where are you going to put them? It's not magic. You can't hide them, nowhere. It takes up space. You know what I mean? So you got to put them somewhere. So 6 rounds is all you get with the Glock 36, but if you're up close and personal with someone, all you're going to need is 1 or 2. So 6 is enough. Anyway, let's see, what else can I talk about? Glocks are so easy to break down. I did a video on this already, but basically, first thing you want to do, obviously, is check your gun. Check this a few times before the video, and I think a couple times during the video, but I'll show you again. Nothing in there, no magazine, no round in the chamber. So what you want to do is point in a safe direction and dry fire by pulling the trigger. Okay. You want to kind of grip the gun like this and pull back a little bit on the slide, and then you have a little lever here. This is a slide lock lever, and you push and hold that down, let the slide roll forward, and it's off. Then of course you take out your recoil assembly and your barrel, and you can easily, that's just the field stripping of this gun. You can easily clean this if you needed to. You can replace barrels. You can buy aftermarket barrels that are longer or ported. Ported have holes in them so that as you shoot, some of the gas escapes to the top, which helps with the muzzle flip and the gun popping all over the place. And by the way, for a 45, even though this is a very small frame, it doesn't kick like you would think. When I first got this gun, everyone said this exact comment was, that's got to kick like a mule. And it really doesn't. It doesn't give you a whole lot of jolt. I mean, yeah, you got to hold on to it. You can't, you can't be all like loose with it. But if you got a good firm grip and you're ready for it, it pops a little, but it's not ridiculous. It's not going to jump out of your hand. So it's actually surprising. What someone actually told me was that with the Glocks, because they have the polymer frame, that absorbs a lot of the energy, a lot of the blast. When you take a shot, it absorbs all that energy. Like I said, you would think that a stainless steel like a 1911, that gun, because it's heavier, would be harder to kind of flip up and give you more, more shock and more recoil. But to be honest, this right here, this Glock 30, well, not this is the frame, but the Glock 36 kicks less than my 1911. And that's surprising because it weighs so much less than the 1911. But like I said, just that polymer frame absorbs a lot of the energy. So it's really not that bad. It doesn't kick all that bad. So the one big difference between the subcompacts and the full-size models, as you saw there, well, I'll show you again real quick because I forgot to talk about it. But the recoil assembly is actually 2 springs and 2 rods, one smaller that goes in the other one. Being different than the full-size, here's the Glock 17, safety check. Break that down real quick. Now this is an aftermarket stainless steel recoil spring assembly, but it's basically the same thing. Just picture this in polymer or plastic. But you can see this is just one rod with one spring, as opposed to subcompacts, which have two. That's the only real difference. Besides that, the barrels are exactly the same. Obviously, just a little bit different in size here. Here's the Glock 17 next to the Glock 36. Okay, so you see the length difference on this. You can see the Glock 36, obviously being chambered in 45, is going to have a bigger hole or a wider channel. The one thing I did notice, and you can see kind of here, is that the Glock 36 barrel is not as fat. I mean, if you look at the rim size, the Glock 17 is a lot thicker. Just something I happened to notice just now, actually. But anyway, besides that, it functions exactly the same as all the other Glocks. And like I said, they just work. They eat up all different kinds of ammunition. I like the Glocks for the reliability. I know some guns are finicky and they're kind of picky on what kind of ammo they want to eat up, so to speak. And I know some guys have problems with jamming on certain ammo, especially some cheaper stuff. If you happen to buy some Wolf 9mm or 40 Smith & Wesson or whatever, some guns are picky and they don't work all that great. So you have to kind of find something that works. But like I said, the Glocks, they just work. They eat up everything. The only jam I've ever had in my Glock was with a shot shell. And the reason it jammed is because the shot shells, which is basically, it's like a regular, it was actually for my Glock 17. It was a little 9mm, I had a whole video on this as well, but it's a little 9mm shell, and it has a bunch of little BBs in it, similar to a birdshot, shotgun round. And the reason that jammed is because I found out later the shot shells didn't have the same energy as a regular shell. So what happened, a regular round. So what happened was when I shot it, it never pushed the slide all the way back. It only pushed the slide back a little bit. What I found out too is that there's a lot of aftermarket springs you can get for your Glocks so you can shoot that stuff. I wasn't aware of that at the time. So that's the only round that's ever jammed on me. Not because of the gun. It wasn't the gun's fault. It was the fact that the round wasn't powerful enough for this specific gun. So anyway, just a little tidbit there. I've never, so far with my two Glocks, I've never had a jam other than that. And I've used probably, I want to say 7 or 8 different kinds of ammunition, some full metal jackets, and I've also used 4 different kinds of hollow points or self-defense ammo. So one last thing I want to talk about is safeties. As I mentioned before, some people prefer or hate the Glock because of the fact it has no safety up here that locks the slide. So there's nothing you can kind of just click off with your thumb. But it does have 3 safeties overall. You have a safe action trigger, which I'll make a separate video on explaining how that works. But basically you have a center blade inside your trigger, and if you don't push that blade, it's not going to fire. And the other 2 safeties are actually internal. You have a firing pin safety, which is that plunger on the inside of your slide. That drops down. That does not allow your firing pin to move forward unless you're firing the gun or pulling the trigger. The other internal safety, which you can't manipulate while using the gun, is your drop safety. And that's basically if you drop the gun on the ground from whether it's 2 feet or 50 feet, it's not going to make that firing pin push forward and fire. It's not going to happen. And it's a specific safety that's internal to the gun. So the only thing you can actually manipulate is the trigger safety, or the safe action trigger, and that would be by getting a full grip on the trigger. If you had this hang up and closed, let's say you were carrying this with a clip draw, which is basically a pocket clip, or you weren't using a holster at all, if your clothes or your shirt or pants caught the trigger on the side, it's not going to fire. It has to get a full grip on that and to push that center blade down. And again, I'll make a full video on how the safe action trigger works. But those are your 3 safeties on a Glock. It's real simple. It's, basically if you have a round ready to go, you pull your gun, you pull the trigger, and it goes bang. And it works every time. Glocks also happen to shoot underwater. They shoot filled with sand. If I didn't already mention it in this video, the good comparison is calling this basically the AK-47 of the pistol world. I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but I like that line because it's so true. It just works in all different conditions. And there's been a lot of independent studies and tests on shooting this gun Again, without cleaning it, thousands and thousands of rounds go through it, no problem, no hiccups, no jams. It's just a reliable gun. So ugly or not, it works, and that's what I'm interested in. So there it is. There's my overview of the Glock Model 36. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Take care.